I have a very good friend who is a type A personality, or maybe you could say a double A or a triple A personality. She's always on the go. She's very goal oriented and believes, I guess, that you must be busy all the time. For instance, we were in Bible study one time together and we were talking about spring cleaning. And she said, you know how you get out, you move all your furniture out in the yard and clean your whole house? And we're all going, no, we don't know. She had 3 jobs for a long time, and she quit her weekend job when she got married. And then for many, many years, she had 2 jobs. A few years ago, she quit the big job so that she could just concentrate on the smaller one because she was retirement age and didn't want to keep on working. That job that she kept up until last year was a county school bus driver. Now, I've always said if you want your child to be on a bus, this is the bus your child should be on. Those children were prayed over every day. There was strict discipline. There was no shenanigans allowed. However, it was so loved, and those kids love her so much. She, one week, about a week before school, I guess, a few years ago, she got a phone call from one of those higher-ups. You know them I'm not talking about. And they told her that there was going to be somebody added to her route. Well, this irritated her because it was so close to school. She had already run her practice route, and this was important so that the families knew what time she would be there to pick up their child. But that happened before, and she knew she would just deal with it. The second thing he told her was who the child was. This really irritated her. This child's reputation preceded him. He was a brat. But she would get that under control pretty quickly, say one time, and he'd be done with that kind of foolishness on her bus. But then the third thing he told her was where he lived. And she said, I can't pick this child up. That's a private road. I'm not allowed to drive a county vehicle on a private road. And they told her, well, they were making an exception, and this time she would. Well, she was very upset, and she let them know that, but there was no changing of minds. She even called a few more people, and they all said, it's going to happen this time. Well, she ranted and she raved, and she pouted and she sulked, and she did everything that she could think of, and sure enough, the day of school started, and there she was, sitting at the turn to go to the private road on her county school bus. She said, Lord, you know I'm going to probably get in trouble for this. If there's any repercussions, it'll probably fall on me. This isn't right and it's not fair. But Lord, I don't want to take it out on this child because it's not his fault. So what I'm asking for, Lord, is just a little grace to get me through this. And then she made the turn. Before she could even get to the little boy's house, there was a mom and a child, obviously waiting on the school bus. In for a penny, in for a pound, she figured. So she pulled over, and she had barely gotten the school bus doors open when the mom began to say, oh, thank goodness, I've prayed. I didn't know what I was going to do. This is my first day on a brand new job, and I knew that I could not get her to school on time and get to work on time. You're an answer to my prayers. Well, this made my friend feel a little better because you can imagine when you've been told you're the answer to someone's prayers, that makes you feel pretty good. Then she looked down at the little girl, a tiny little miniature thing. She was dressed in her brand new first day of school dress, her little Mary Janes and her folded down socks and her new satchel. She had a cloud of dark curls that came down to her shoulders. She looked at her and she said, well, hey there, and what's your name? And the little girl looked her square in the eye and said, I am Grace. Well, as you can imagine, it took all my friend had to keep it together and not begin to weep uncontrollably. What a blessing this child was to her. She watched her grow up. She saw her through school and on into college and nursing school and became a fine young Christian woman. So I guess there's really 2 morals to this story. One is that God does take things that are bad and turn them into good. And two, if you need a little grace, all you got to do is ask.